We heard from the Douglas County Sheriff live earlier this morning. First Alert 6's Maria Cade is live right now at the scene tracking down the latest details. Maria, what can you tell us right now?
And Therese, this is still an active investigation. Look behind me. There are plenty of officers, sheriffs, and multiple different cruisers here. They have been at the scene all morning long. Let me step out of the way just so that you can get a closer look back here. They are still investigating this area, and a large portion of this area is closed off. A lot of the roads are closed. We're right near Fontanelle Park, 48th and Pratt Street. One block to the left and the right of me are both closed down. If you look directly ahead where the investigation is happening, it looks like it's about 3 blocks deep that this area is roped off while they are doing this investigation. Just to give you a little bit more details about what happened, this is what we know from Douglas County Sheriff Aaron Hansen. They were called here just after 2:30 this morning, and there was a DCSO Special Operations Group that was involved. They came here to the scene, and that's when shots were fired. There was one person who was in a car who was hit. That person was taken to the hospital, and they were given CPR in the process as they were going to the hospital. Again, this is an active investigation. They say that there are multiple suspects, multiple people who they are still trying to find. They have not found them yet to our knowledge. That's why they are still out here, still searching. So they're asking people not to come around this area if you don't have to come around this area. But there are a couple of things that Sheriff Hansen said that you should look out for if you are for some reason in this area.
Be observant of things on your property that may not look as it normally would. Things would be out of place. Maybe an article of clothing, maybe a discarded weapon, or maybe someone that could be hiding somewhere on your property. If you see anything suspicious, do the safe thing, call 911. We have multiple sheriff's deputies and Omaha police officers in the area. We will respond and check it out.
Some really good tips to keep in mind there from Sheriff Hansen. Again, this investigation is still ongoing. We don't know how long it's going to be going on for, but there are multiple agencies here. Sheriff's Office, OPD, Nebraska State Patrol is also here on scene. They are working to figure out what's going on and hopefully find those suspects. Once we learn more, we will let you know more. Back to you, Aaron and Cerise.
Maria Cade, thank you very much for that report. In the meantime, it's good to have you with us as we start this Thursday morning on our First Alert 6 streaming. I'm Erin Hartley.
And I'm Cerise Cole, joined by meteorologist Jared Lansford, senior chief meteorologist Rusty Lord, who's first alerting us to more cool weather. Yeah. We're in the 40s right now, Rusty.
There were some wind chills in the 30s earlier this morning, so there's got a little bite to it again. And if you needed the coat yesterday, you definitely will today, especially if you're heading down to the early game today. They're going to jam 4 games in at the ballpark today starting at 9 o'clock. So we're about 2 hours from that getting going here. We're at 46 degrees with a feels like number of 43. So the light wind right now starting to pick up. You can see where temperatures are, 46 Millard, 47 in Papillion, a lot of 40s. A lot like yesterday. And you're going to notice that be a theme. Everything about today is actually a lot like yesterday. We're going to build in a few clouds as the day goes along. There's some of those wind chills. They're still in the 30s in west central Iowa, so it is chilly out the door. The sun will remedy that pretty quickly, and a lot like yesterday will warm up well into the 60s. Got a little bit of a breeze right now at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Those gusts will try to go up a little today. And I think we can muster 25 mile per hour gusts out of the north-northwest. Should start to relax after 5 o'clock into the evening hours. So with that, scattered clouds moving through from north to south. Pretty harmless stuff, though. From the north, the clouds thicken up just a little. And by 3, 4, 5 o'clock, there could be a few more on the map than what we have this morning. Mid-60s for a high. Yesterday, we hit 66. Today, a degree or two cooler. Looking about 65 for the high across the city. A little cooler northeast, warmer southwest on the whole map here. By 7, we're falling back a little. By 10, we're down in the mid-50s, and then another morning tomorrow morning down in the 40s yet again. But some clouds will be moving in to start off the day Friday, and you can see there's some showers lurking to the west, and that will try to be our first chance of some rain here heading into the weekend. So any showers, a few thunder showers try to move in after 9 o'clock the way it looks, and then could persist all the way through the afternoon with chances. It will not be steady rain. I want to stress that. It's on and off showers, a few embedded rumbles of thunder in there. Nothing severe, but it is going to try to keep us cooler tomorrow with the lack of sunshine.
Okay. Also a little bit cooler for Memorial Day weekend as well. We really just are not going to get into those scorching hot temperatures.
That's the thing. Pool weather, it looks like it's probably out the window, but there is a day that I think is starting to trend a little bit better for some outdoor stuff. I think Saturday, with the rain chances going later and later, this 60% may pertain now more to the evening and overnight hours with 69 for the high there. I wouldn't be surprised if we bump that into the 70s here as some new model data comes in. And then some of the cooler days will be Sunday and Monday. Probably start with some showers in the area Sunday and then struggle to break out of the clouds. Monday has some rain chances as well. So Sunday, or I should say Saturday, is holding a little more promise. And you can see where the rain chances are the rain totals are expected to be over the next 5 days. This takes us all the way through the weekend with total rain. We're not expecting big washout numbers. So even when you see rain chances, just know it's not an all-day soaker of a day. Maybe near 1/4 of an inch with some of the rain totals in west central Iowa, and trending upwards as you go to the southwest. This light blue shade here is about 3/4 of an inch on average. So there it gives you a little idea of what we're looking at here. We'll jump ahead and show you that a little bit later on here. We're looking at 60s all the way through the weekend, and then the warmth keeps holding off towards the middle and end of next week with highs in the 80s that you're looking for this weekend, next weekend. So we can just slide everything 1 week and get some warmer weather next weekend if you're waiting for the pool.
Yeah. You know what? Saturday does look good, Rusty.
Yeah.
All right, good.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
Happy to help.
Thank
Trying to help.
All right, speaking of trying to help, Jared's here to get us started on our morning commute. We know we've got that active crime scene near 40th and Pratt near Fontenelle Park. How's that impacting the roads there?
Yeah, it's an area you're going to want to avoid because it's still an active scene. They're saying it's not secure. So as you're getting up and running, unless, of course, you live in the area and you have to get going, you're just going to need to be cautious if you're in that group. But if you can avoid this area, do it this morning. You just heard from Maria Cade live in that area. She was roughly about right where the end of my finger is here, 48th and Pratt area. But maybe draw a circle in about 4 blocks in any direction. That's just kind of a good rule of thumb of areas you should try to avoid with this activity still ongoing and still searching for suspects. So that's going to be the case here for a little bit. We'll first alert you when that starts to change this morning. We zoom things out. Much of the metro is looking pretty good. One area probably stood out pretty quickly when we were zooming out. A big red blob that's now covered by the I-80 symbol, but that's the entrance to that westbound I-80 construction zone right around Giles. Things backing up to almost to the 680 interchange. So we'll have a little bit more on that in just a little bit. But most roads in the metro are moving well. While we're talking about law enforcement investigations, though, I do want to point this out. Some viewers who may commute between Omaha and Lincoln and may use Highway 6. Not this morning. That's closed near Greenwood on either side of the town with law enforcement activity happening there. So use I-80 to go between Omaha and Lincoln this morning. So a couple of areas where not normal traffic situations are taking place, and I want to first alert you to that. Now, as far as what we're seeing in the metro with any kind of construction impacts, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth on that in just a bit.
Okay. Jared, thank you. In the meantime, happening today, a man involved in a deadly crash will be sentenced. Dr. Mark Carlson was found guilty of manslaughter in the 2023 death of Anna Bosma. Investigators say that Carlson was racing another driver on Dodge when he lost control of his car. He faces up to 20 years in prison. Also today, Governor Jim Pillen's 2 appointees to a medical marijuana regulatory commission will face state senators.
That's right. Laurel Muting and Monica Oldenburg have repeatedly shared their opposition to the idea of medical marijuana being legal. State Senator Ben Hansen of Blair says there may be unintended consequences if the commission takes restrictions too far.
If you leave them no choice, I can only assume that they're going to run a recreational cannabis petition and possibly be successful.
Well, the hearings are set for this afternoon at the Capitol. We will be sure to report back with anything notable from them. First Alert 6 Streaming will be right back. Stay with us. Happy Thursday, everybody. Taking a live look outside. Lots of sunshine. Doesn't feel as good as it looks this morning anyway. But we're going to warm up nicely. In fact, if you like the way the temperatures felt yesterday, you'll probably like today.
A lot of similarities between yesterday and today, the way things are looking in the forecast. So we got sunshine in the 40s this morning.
Okay.
We get a few more clouds, and we get up into the 60s this afternoon. Plus, we got the wind to go along with it. And they're going to try to play 4 games down at Charles Schwab Field. Just the name changes are getting me here. So as we go through the day, we're going to see temperatures near 50 degrees for the first game that starts at 9 o'clock. And then all the way into the evening, it looks like a pretty similar day to what we have with mid-60s on the way. Here's your 40s out there to start off the day. Some 42s, some 43s, all the way to about 47 in some spots. Near 50 in Lincoln, though, so we're starting to see those numbers warm up. So what you need out the door, the same jacket you wore yesterday. Don't forget the sunglasses. You'll need those today as well, even though we build in a couple of clouds this afternoon. I still think quite a bit of sunlight gets through. North-northwest wind. You can see the arrows here. First alert to those up near 25, maybe 30 miles per hour. Again, pretty similar to what we had yesterday. Takes another couple hours before those pick up. I want to dive into the rain chances the next couple of days. Friday, it looks like the clouds move in pretty early in the day, and then showers after about 9 o'clock become a threat to the area. And when I say threat, we're talking about scattered showers, maybe a couple rumbles of thunder. You can see it's never covering the whole area the entire time. But you have some of these moving through. Better odds probably on the Nebraska side, and then as they move east into the afternoon, they struggle a little bit to hold on for our Iowa viewers. Nothing all that heavy out of these the way it looks. Clouds around Friday evening. Saturday, though, let me show you a couple things here because I think it's starting to trend towards the warmer side. We may have some clouds to get through, but I think this high near 70 is starting to look a little bit better. We warmed it a little bit given recent forecast trends. And then late afternoon with a couple spotty showers. And you notice how most of the rain, if there are any showers, thunder showers, holding off until the evening hours. This, even on some models, continues to go later and later in the day on Saturday. So I think we can get a good chunk of Saturday in without too much getting in the way outside. I'm not guaranteeing you the sunshine and the pool weather, but at least I think the rain may hold off until later in the day on Saturday, the way things are looking. And you got actually rain chances all the way through Memorial Day. We talked about this a little earlier. You can see how that heavier rain's probably to the southwest, lighter rain to the northeast. You get into the blues, we're talking a ½ inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch of rain. And there's your chances on Sunday and again on Monday. So it's late Saturday into Sunday where maybe some of these best rain chances are starting to line up, and then perhaps more to watch for on Memorial Weekend. Still a little unsure on just how those would move on through at the moment. But at least the timing's starting to become come into light just a little bit more on some of these days, and you can find some drier times as you dodge around the showers in the 60s, the way it appears.
It's hard to believe, but we're already nearing the end of May. So in about a week, we are seeing those more summer-like temperatures return.
And that's an average high by this weekend is close to 80 degrees. We just don't have anything near that. Oh. And it does look like there's some numbers mid to late next week that keep showing up near 80 degrees towards the end of next week. Just got to wait a little bit. We'll get some summertime warmth here. Nothing all that humid either. Watch the lows. That can be the telltale sign of if we're getting a little humidity. If these don't dip into the 40s and 50s, it's a sign that there's moisture in the air and we can't cool it off quite as easy. And you don't see really any signs of that for a while. So low humidity, pretty comfortable temperatures. We'll see if the start of June brings us a little more summertime warmth here as that starts to show up on the 10-day.
I don't hate the low humidity. Just put that out there.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. We haven't had much so far this year.
All right, Jared's tracking the roads for us this morning. How are we doing?
Well, you're just seeing a pretty good forecast. The things on the roads are moving pretty well, too, for the most part. So that's a good way to start off your Thursday. Of course, we have some exceptions. They're pretty easy to guess, though, on where we're seeing the issues. It stands out when you're looking at this quad box of cameras. It's that one, if you didn't figure it out. That's I-80 as you're heading into the construction zone right near Giles. And this is even backed up all the way to L this morning. So even a little worse than normal as you're heading into that area. It is quite slow through there. This is what that looks like. So give you an estimated speed, kind of give you an idea what you're looking at. This red area, you're talking about speeds on the interstate that are about 10 to 15 miles per hour at their best. So not moving along very well there. You go a little further down the road, you're also getting some delays heading eastbound toward that area just past 144th. A little slow on 370 right near the I-80 interchange. That could be people trying to avoid this mess at this interchange where we've had backups over the last week. So this general area is just going to be kind of a touch and go as we continue to deal with some of the construction impacts there. Other impacts, we're actually doing okay here on 120th, but state track does continue this morning, tomorrow morning into Saturday. So if you're driving in this area, you're going to want to watch for things to slow down. There's Burke starting to light up with the yellow and orange as people make their way to the events there. There is a free shuttle at West Road Small. That'll help you avoid the traffic if you're going to the events there, but watch for slowdowns as you just travel around there over the course of the next couple of mornings. Aside from that, though, looks pretty good. JFK is all green. That's a sign of some pretty normal travel that you're seeing. 370 mostly doing pretty well aside from that spot that I mentioned there right near I-80. So if you're about to head out the door, we mentioned some of those areas off the top of the stream that we have where we're continuing to watch law enforcement issues near Fontenelle Park. But aside from that and some of those construction zones, it's a pretty good start to the morning. Don't forget the sunglasses. It's pretty bright as you're going eastbound this morning.
Good reminder. All right, Jared, thank you.
Governor Jim Pillen, meantime, striking down a bill that would hold the Omaha Housing Authority responsible for poor conditions.
Yeah, Pillen says he believes this bill added repetition to government mandates. He added the city of Omaha, as well as the federal partners who fund the housing, are responsible for keeping up the properties. The Senate would need 30 votes to override the veto. Well, happening tonight, opening ceremonies for the Nebraska Special Olympics are going down at DJ Sokol Arena. Close to 500 athletes all around the state are flocking to Omaha for the games. Events include swimming, gymnastics, volleyball, and running. The games go through Saturday. And a graduation with a twist.
Yeah, the special guest giving this year's commencement speech at one university. That's when we come back. Well, happening tonight, Kermit the Frog will give the commencement address at the University of Maryland's graduation.
How about that? Kermit's no stranger to the school, actually. The Muppets creator, Jim Henson, graduated from Maryland. That was in 1960. A home economics major, by the way. Henson fashioned the original frog puppet from one of his mother's coats and a ping pong ball cut in half.
I didn't know
That's
that.
where the eyes came from. So in a video announcing the speaker pick, Kermit is described as an environmental advocate, a best-selling author, an international superstar, and a champion of creativity, kindness, and believing in the impossible.
Wow.
What would you think if he was your...
I love it. It's amazing.
He's got to sing Rainbow Connection right at the end.
It's amazing how he stood the test of time. Like the moment.
It's true.
Like my daughter, I watched him growing up.
Yeah.
My daughter's watching him. Like she knows all of them.
It's true, yeah. Well,
Crazy.
I can't wait to see how that goes.
I know.
It could go a number of ways. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to get ready for our update in today's show. Of course, you can watch it here on streaming. We'll also have it live on our air.
All right, have a great start to your Thursday.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good morning to you. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley. Some increased traffic due to law enforcement activity. We'll get to a detour potential with Jarrett Lansford.
Yeah, some areas you want to avoid this morning with an active scene, and we've got more information on this in just a little bit, but law enforcement activity happening around 48th and Pratt in the general vicinity of Fontenelle Park. So officials urging people to avoid that area if at all possible. So you're going to want to try to maybe make your way a little further north or south if you're going east and west through the area. Avoid Pratt Street, avoid 48th. Otherwise, mostly pretty smooth travel. I-80 very slow westbound as you're entering that construction zone near Giles. Backups all the way to L. Rusty.
Thanks, Jared. A little chilly out there again this morning, too. We were in the 40s yesterday. 40s again this morning, 46 in Omaha. Most locations are about 46 to 48 and starting to climb. It's chilly out there. They're going to try to jam 4 games in at the ballpark today to avoid any rain potential tomorrow. So with that, we'll be near 50 at 9 o'clock when the first one gets going, and then it's just basically the rest of the day into the 60s for a high. Very similar to yesterday. Start with sunshine, get a few clouds. Northwest wind gusting to about 25, maybe 30 miles per hour. Had that yesterday as well, and that should get us a high of about 65 this afternoon. Rain chances move in after 9 o'clock tomorrow through the afternoon, and then more rain possible. But this is trending later on Saturday. Could be mostly evening showers and maybe a few thunder showers. Aaron?
Well, some breaking news we have been following all throughout the morning. A person is fighting for their life after a deputy-involved shooting. This happened in the area of 48th and Pratt. Now, authorities say shots were fired when authorities approached a car. Multiple suspects took off while one occupant was rushed to the hospital with critical injuries. Right now, that scene is not secure. It is still very active. Suspects are still at large as of this morning. Hoping to bring you more details as the morning goes on.
All right, everybody, it is 7:28. We are back with another update for you in about 25 minutes. We'll see you then.